Hey, other guy, look, I can't come into work today.
You're already here.
See, I'm sick.
Achoo! That's
The lead
I'm
man
sick
is
too.
too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and not the drink cup. He can come in
Yes,
today.
I am.
You
No,
just
I
got
can't.
diarrhea.
Stop sick.
Don't have diarrhea. You don't even know me. I don't have diarrhea.
We're all sick, so you're gonna have to leave and leave us the studio.
Why am I leaving the studio again? Just go home. You don't have to be here. In fact, usually you're just in the way when you're here anyway, so just go home. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Just go home.
Oh, crap. Here we go. Shut up, you jabrode. Look, you can sit here and argue with me all you want, but the plain and simple fact is, I've got disco fever. He's got disco fever. We've all got disco fever, okay? Except for the drape cup. You can take him out to lunch.
Only if you're paying.
Look, there is not enough disco cowbell to go around to cure this disco fever. I checked with the doctor. He said there's a shortage.
And he also wrote us a prescription for you to get your hand in out of the studio before we got to kick it out. Now, I ain't got no feet, but I make me meat foot. Turn that sucker sideways and shove it so far up your candy hand in, you'll be tasting hamburger or salmonella for the next week, boy.
Whoa, sounds like somebody's gonna need a cigarette after that one.
No, boy, I don't smoke. I got on that placebo nicotine patch.
I meant him. You know, never mind.
I don't think he meant it as a pass. I think he was threatening me. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Just go home. You don't need to be here, especially if you've got, what'd you say? You had
Disco fever.
Yeah, and I got the baby blues, and Snaps, he got Kiefer Madness. You know, 'cause he been watching Kiefer Sutherland on The Lost Boys.
All right, get out or they're going to start calling you the Lost Boys. I've got a show to do.
Look! You don't understand. I have a structured settlement, and I need cash now.
Oh, why must you torture me with slogans from the golden days?
Oh, that was a good show, boy. I always love watching that one.
Oh, good show.
Ah, it's such torture on my lumbar pelvic region, in my back, and my quadratus laborum, and my rotator cuff,
You finished?
and my labrum.
Oh.
And I gotta lay down on that recliner right there. Yeah, the one I point at. And I need you to go out that door, the one I point at, and take the drink cup with you.
What? No, you idiot.
No, don't take the drink cup with you. We might need him here. And
Okay.
come back tomorrow. All right, bye.
Well, why do you want the studio? So I don't understand. What's going on?
Hey, everybody, I'm here. Let's get the party started. You ready to record?
Why is he here? You're the reason all my recordings sound like crap. Why are you here?
Oh, I can answer that one. He's my chiropractor.
Yeah, and my massager.
They called him a masseuse.
No, boy, he don't use that placebo mousse for hair products. He don't do hair. He's not a hairstylist. He's a massager. You should try him out. He'll give you a real good massage.
Maybe don't say it like that. It sounds like he's going to need a cigarette afterwards.
Shut up. Why are you here?
Oh, that's easy. I'm here to run the sound equipment.
What?
You know?
Hello, anybody home? Oh, hey, I'm here. I hope you didn't get the party started without me.
How many of you creepers are going to come walking through my door? What are you here for?
Oh, it's easy. He usually does the narration for the commercials for the placebo supplements. But that's not why he's here today. No,
Oh, goodness,
he's
no.
here.
Oh, no.
They're quarantining him. You see, he's got the Pink Floyd.
The pink eye, you idiot.
Yeah, he's got the clear eyes. Yeah, that's the product we're doing today. Placebo clear eyes, Uncle Rico's version.
Yeah, we're going to put Ben Stein out of business.
Yeah, yes, we are. I mean, no, we're not. No, you see, we're here to arrest you. You gotta get out, because you're in grave danger. You could be getting the kangaroo flu, for all you know. Ooh.
Guys, what's going on? This is the last time come on. You kind of waste my time here. I got a show I got to do.
Okay, look, we just want to record some commercials and do a regular time episode. Just because everybody likes us better than you, because you're a loser. Don't take it up with us, take it up with them. They're the ones that said so.
What? When? Since when? When? Every time you get your hands on an episode, the viewership goes down. Especially when this cue ball over here gets a hold of it.
Hey, I'm still learning the mix, okay? I got feelings too, you know. And I haven't found a cure for baldness yet, so shut your face.
No, I knew you'd say this crap. I mean, about the baldness, because everybody says that, but I mean, about you being better than us. No. We got the reviews. The postman gave it to us because all the fans sent them in to us.
And why would they do that?
Well, we're going to plead the fifth on that one, okay?
Yeah, we're going to plead the fifth on that one, and you know that's a super important move because we can't even count it high.
But everybody shut up. Just put it on tape. Listen to this. Read 'em and weep, sucker.
Rolling the clip now.
Oh, hey, everybody. I just wanted to call in and leave a review on Regular Time. Just a regular show about the regular show. First thing I want to say is that Marcelline's Playground, well, there are some really poor, treated hosts. And, the show really sucks. All kinds of new viewers in. The thing that the other guy does is a lot worse.
I gotta say, that was a very moving review. I got a tear in my eye. Let's go to the next one.
This is Bill Tadley. I'm calling because you stopped there at the Tadley Power Hour. I paid for a 5-show block, and I only got one. I'm gonna tear your pants off. Roll clip. Show the next one. Let's roll the next one. Keep it rolling, Sean.
This is James McKenna III. Sometimes y'all call me Leroy. I've been in that studio many a time, and I just want to say, Marceline's Playground is the biggest pile of shit talent I've ever met in my entire life. They owe me a whole lot of hot-head whoopings for not paying them what I owe them. And this other guy's show is somewhat disgusting. That's all I got. Over and out. It sounds to me like the proof is in the pudding. Maybe you should just give up podcasting and let us do our thing. Or do you need to hear another clip?
No, I don't need to hear another
Too
clip.
late. Things are in motion that can't be undone. Roll it.
Yeah, I just want to call in and say that Marcelline's Playground rocks so bad they make me want to jump off my diving board into the pool and then get ran over by a
Rush of happy feelings.
you know. And the music rocked my socks really bad, too. And another thing, for frickin' sake, I feel like that kid off of Freddy Krueger 5 or 6, you know. Freddy's dead. You know, the one with the hearing aid that gets blown up. Rest his soul. You know, 'cause Freddy Krueger scratching the nails on the chalkboard and all that. And then my friggin' head explodes. That's how rockin' the music is. Oh, yeah, the other guy sucks, too. Real bad. Even worse.
I bet you're feeling really bad about yourself right now, ain't you, big boy?
Close. I'm feeling behind schedule. Do you think we could maybe speed this up to where I could get to doing, what I'm supposed to be doing?
Oh, well, why don't you come down here and say that to my face here, big guy?
Fellas, take it easy. Let's all just kick back and enjoy a nice placebo beverage while we chill out.
I can't watch my figure.
It's Candair.
All I know is somebody's about to get stabbed with my placebo bread knife.
That commercial's not till next week. Let's not go there, okay?
Whatever, we got one more very important guest review, okay? And this was from a guy that's very important to the show. In fact, he told me one time behind closed doors that he wanted to be more like Spice King. Roll the clip.
Hey guys, Rob here from Turtles Forever. I just want to hop on to give you a quick review and just let you know how much I'm loving Regular Time. Just a regular show about the regular show. Kirkland, dude, as a host, you are...
Running the show into the ground.
I'm loving the humor.
From Marcelline's Playground.
And it's clear that...
I forgot to say I smell Tex-Mex and candy.
In every episode that you review, the
Lack of self-confidence
shines through. I've learned so much from just listening to the show. I think you do such a
lackluster
job of including so much humor and pop culture references in your reviews. It's just
nauseating.
It's a really
crap bag
show. On the other hand, Marceline's Playground, they leave
me peeing my pants from laughter and excitement.
A lot to be desired. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
They're pretty much
genius savants.
I don't know if you've noticed, but they
take out the
trash behind your back every day.
They carry the show.
Every day. I feel bad for
them.
Like, why would you
not
leave them in charge? Why would you even turn your back on those
selfless workers?
Because
they are hot, except the Drake cup.
You dare cross me?
Look, I don't know. All he said was something about me being the booty got me like God, not you.
All they do is
set up your set.
Your set. I mean, they
race
golf carts, meatball. Excuse me. He's doing tuck and roll. That's all he's got.
And I'm going to stop talking about that now because it makes me really jealous.
Oh, and having a debate over the Fig Newton, saying that it's just a fruit bar wannabe.
Chef's kiss.
Everyone
vomits.
The Fig Newton. I just cannot believe that you're going to leave these two
booty got me like guys not
in charge while you're gone. They're the
best.
You got to get them out of here
for the world to hear.
I mean, they're destroying your show.
This is competition.
Regular Time, not such a good time.
Because it's great.
Anyway, that's just my 2 cents, my friend. You're doing a terrible job. But Meatball and Spice King, who are legally different but have vaguely similar names, they gotta go.
On the main show slot.
I'd rather eat a roadkill skunk and down with root beer than listen
To the other guy.
anymore. But other than that, man, your show's awesome. Cowabunga, dude.
Well, bye, Rob. You think that'll work?
Yeah, I think it'll look pretty good, man. I think it'll be good.
And welcome to that show with the host that has his earphones turned up way too loud. Let's turn those puppies down. There we go. It's just a regular show about the regular show. I'm your host, that one guy with the awkward name that's really hard to say and nobody cares. Let's get ready to have a regular time. Okay, full transparency alert here. Due to various scheduling events, such as my sister's wedding shower and state testing and all other kinds of goodies that take up time, I'm going to have to record 2 episodes in the same sitting this evening. So we were doing a big marathon. All that means for you is that during this episode, I'm not going to be talking a whole lot about music or video games or any of the other gaga, because quite frankly, this episode of Regular Show is strong enough to stand on its own. It's really real wrestling. It's actually a pretty good one. The one thing that I will say is that episode of Adventure Time that's stacked up against it this week is called Storytelling. And it's probably, it's about one of those 5 out of 10 episodes, 6 out of 10 episodes for Adventure Time. It's all right. In that Jake gets sick at the main beginning and Finn tries a few things and he's not satisfied. He wants Finn to tell him a story. And Finn starts to tell him stories and he's not satisfied with him. He's like, I need a new story. So Finn goes out into the woods to try to learn a new story. And, you know, he does a few things and kind of stirs up some trouble. And the animals basically put him in a cage and they try to sentence him at the end. Kind of like how the trees try to sentence Master Shake, Carl, at the end of one of the Aqua Teen episodes in season 1. But this episode of Adventure Time is, I guess the one big contribution it has is it's the first appearance of the character Mr. Fox. The fox who will later go on to talk like Christopher Walken. He's a fairly entertaining, kind of enigmatic character. But quite frankly, though, this episode of Regular Show wins. It probably would have won before I even watched both of these. But after watching Really Real Wrestling a few weeks back, I would have to say that it's a surprising landslide. Because this is a really good episode. If you know, maybe it was just the mood I was in that one night, but I don't know. Tangentially speaking, as I'm looking at the Regular Show wiki, there's a little video pop-up player down in the right-hand side, and it's neon. It's Evangelion. I don't know why I'm laughing. I just don't know why that's popped up on here, but yeah, I like that. I like that anime. There's something about it the first time I watched it through. I was like, this is just, and then after you watch it a few times, you start thinking about it. It's like, wow, okay, this kind of transcends, you know, like normal animation. It's like you've got to kind of think about all this symbolism. Like the face value presentation is just kind of like, it's kind of bare bones. It's got kind of like this almost minimalistic presentation, but everything in that show is like so symbolic. And it's like, if you're not reading between the lines or looking behind the curtain, it just, it goes right over your head. Anyway, I'm also getting over the flu still. I had that a little while, but maybe I mentioned in the last show, actually. Got pretty sick, so it's a little bit rough breathing. But, so I apologize for that if that's interfering with the listening experience. I'll try to, RX all that out during post-production. But if not, please don't let that deter you from listening to or watching this episode, because it's actually a pretty good one. So let's get to it. Really Real Wrestling is the 20th episode in season 2, and it first aired May 16th, 2011. Directed by Mike Roth, written and storyboarded by Sean Seals. Last episode was a good one, Grave Sites. The next one is Over the Top. It's actually a pretty memorable episode. It's like there's a few memes that come out of it that I see kind of floating around right now. We'll get to that, though. The synopsis of this episode: Mordecai and Rigby sneak into a wrestling event. Meanwhile, Pops is mistaken for an up-and-coming wrestler, which sounds very bare bones and everything, and it kind of is. But this episode, the brilliance of it is kind of in the execution of it, I think. It's a very simple concept, but they just execute it so well. Not like the last one. The last one was a pretty cool, kind of a novel, not really novel, but it was, it's paying tribute to B horror movies, with Bruce Campbell in them and whatnot. I mean, it's just pretty cool. And it had some jokes and scenery. This one is more like, it's just a bare bones kind of, it's not really an atmosphere type episode. It really is just kind of the execution of the jokes. But it's pretty good. So anyway, the voices, I'm going to have to zoom in on this here. I'm sorry. Let's see. The voices, Mordecai and Double Trouble, which is a wrestler, J.G. Quintel. Let's see. Golly, Rigby, John, and Hissy Fit, which is another wrestler, is William Salyers, which, before we even get to that, Hissy Fit, I thought was such a good novelty name for this wrestler. Pops Benson, Mike is Sam Marin. Officer is Mark Hamill. There's no Skips in this episode. Crazy. You would figure that Skips would be in an episode about wrestling. And you would think that Muscle Man is too, but appears that he's not either. So that's weird. Referee and detective is Roger Craig Smith. Sarge is Jeff Glenn Bennett. So we've already basically got our two Sixth Rangers in here, Roger Craig Smith and Jeff Glenn Bennett. So, I mean, they're really pulling it all out. But wait, there's more. The character of Hugehead is Robin Atkin Downs. And let's see what Robin Atkin Downs is also popular for here. Okay, so going through his IMDb, he's actually in a crap ton of things, mainly as side characters. Most recently, X-Men 97, he plays additional voices. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I should say, additional voices. So there's a lot of those, a lot of additional voices and whatnot, which I think honestly is, quite frankly, that's a cool gig, if you ask me. He's also in more recent, well, I guess fairly recent shows. Rugrats, he plays Julian. I'm just skipping through here. Destroy All Humans 2, Reprobed, additional voices. There's a lot of those, and I think that's cool. Like I said, I think that's I wish I could say, I'm a lot of additional voices. Batman: The Long Halloween, the movie, which I actually watched, which is actually a pretty good one. He's in both of them, part 1 and 2. And in both 1 and 2, he's Scarecrow and Thomas Wayne. I enjoyed both of those. That's the one where the Joker, and I think it's the first one, where he says, like the corn kernel says, I refuse to be number 2 or something like that. That one always cracked me up. Anyway, Ben 10, he plays Hex, Man 1, and Reporter, Batman, Soul of the Dragon. So he's in a lot of these DC movies. I think he's Constantine in some of the movies too. So, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy? Was that the game, or was that No, it was a TV series. He plays Serpent. That's 2019. Let me go way back. Let's see what some way back stuff here if my computer would scroll down. Let's look around the time frame that regular show came out, what else he was voicing. So in 2011, he was in Bulletstorm, Warhammer 4000, Dragon Age 2, he was Kieran and Jansen. Hunted, The Demon's Forge, Connect Fun, I've never heard of that. Red Faction Armageddon, I never played that. I played the first Red Faction. Fear, Animals Say the Wildest Things. I don't know what that one is. This is a TV series. Resistance 3, Batman Year 1, he's Harvey Dent. I had that one. I have that movie somewhere. Let's see. Elder Scrolls. I think probably everybody and their mother was in Elder Scrolls. Not really. But he's one of them weird name characters. That's pretty much all of them. Brynjolf. Yeah. So Saints Row the Third, Final Fantasy 13 Part 2. Never played that one. Star Wars: The Old Republic. He's an ancient droid. Baron Zachar Gerard Barrel. Point is, he's played in a lot of stuff. So here we go. They're getting a well-seasoned veteran of the voice acting field to, pick up the rest of. Well, I shouldn't even say the rest, because we got one more guy. We've got the guy from the Fire Marshal, and for Armageddon. That's another wrestler. He's got I think he's got 4 arms. His name's 4 Armageddon. Lee Reherman. So they've got a pretty stacked voice acting cast here. It's probably going to be a pretty good outing when Mark Hamill only has one role, and it's not even his main role. I don't know if what I just said there makes any sense, but from what I remember, it is a good outing. So, it doesn't necessarily prove, but not necessarily an exception to the rule either. So, whatever. Let's get on with this right here. So we got, we'll look real quick at the trivia, see if there's anything that I looked over. Nope. Okay. I don't think there's anything I looked over. So what do you say we jump into this bad boy? So for the first time that I can recall, the opening is just a little bit different. We still have like the little synth, boom thing. But instead of having birds chirping, we have what sounds like boats with their horns, with followers. Brr, brr. And it's actually a commercial we're watching. And it's a guy with sunglasses. And he goes, "What'd I tell you, Minetti? The cream always rises to the cup." Ah, ha, ha, and he's laughing. And it's a cop. And he's got a guy up against it. It's like a Starsky and Hutch type deal. He's, it's definitely looks like a 70s type car. And the guy's handcuffed up on the car. And he's laughing. And that's about it. Now, here's the thing about this. There's a character, I'm pretty sure, named Minetti that comes back later. More than once, I believe. So this is kind of a recurring name. I don't think it's the same character. I think it's just a funny name that they bring back. Now, the character, I think, actually does come back. Maybe he's already been here once. I'm not sure. I think one of them is where he's like, hey, bus full of kids, field trip this or something. And he turns around. No, that's what it is. They're watching the TV and he flips a car with a guy on the side of it. And then they start talking about like the bus. And anyway, this one, this is just basic like show, I guess. So it's a recurring theme. Later on, we get the cops that do the donuts. I can't remember their names, but that's pretty cool. I love how they treat like the cop type characters in regular show. It's just always, I don't think I've seen like one depiction of a cop that's not just goofy, but still hilarious. And it's not like it's belittling the job or anything. It's just, it does a good job satirizing the occupation in my opinion. So the next thing that happens is a commercial that comes on, and you're probably gonna have to bear with me here because it's like there's a lot crammed into this commercial. It's pretty dense, but it starts off. It's like tonight only at the City Arena Center, the double RW. I don't know what that stands for, but it's 2 R's and they're like mirror images of each other, and then there's a W underneath it. It's a goofy looking design, but it's kind of funny. The double RW is hosting a Wrestle Frassle 7. And it's all pumped up, and it's got like a parody type version of the American Gladiators theme, is what it sounds like at least. Playing, different key, but it's the same type of feel. And it just keeps going on and on. I'm going to have to rewatch it just to see everything that it says here. Okay, so I don't know why I didn't know what double RW stands for. It's the name of the episode. It's really real wrestling. Yeah, sometimes I'm a dunce. Anyway, Wrestle Frassle 7 live, 8 p.m. at the City Arena Center. And it's cool because you get kind of like it's almost like, it's not fret tapping guitar, but it is like kind of like shredding building up to a crescendo. And the announcer's like, "For tickets, call your mama and cry about it because this event is sold out." And which is great. I mean, it's like, I love that they actually make a commercial just to tell you, hey, kiss it. You can't buy tickets. I don't know. That cracks me up. That in itself, that like is the best part of the whole joke. They actually go through the trouble to make a production that tells you can't come to our event. Go cry to your mama about it. So Mordecai's like, "Man, we should have gotten tickets." And then Rigby's response is like, "Yeah, you should have listened to me, but no, you didn't want to stand in line to get tickets. You had to finish your work." Mordecai says, "Dude, Benson would have snapped his crank if he would have caught us not doing work," which, that line is what it is. Whatever. Take it how you will. And then Rigby makes it even worse. He says, "Yeah, and that's why we couldn't get tickets, because you're just too busy thinking about Benson's crank." And then it starts turning into like a wrestling promo type thing. Mordecai, a very stereotypical, old school, very poorly done wrestling promo, which is kind of like what the territories would have been. You go into the town and you make fun of all the poor people in that town. Not me. That's just kind of how they did it here. That's kind of a true story too. But anyway, that's probably a little bit before when I was a little kid. But I've heard the stories of people that I know personally who were wrestlers. Shout out Midnight Rider if you're out there. I know you're not listening, but not going to catch you, Midnight. Anyway, Mordecai's like, "Are you trying to make me mad?" And he goes, "Because you know what happens when I get mad." And Rigby says, "Oh, I know." And then they kind of stop, and then they both run across each other, like by each other into the other room. And at this point, this is what. Oh yeah, sorry, it's that time of the show again. You know who else watches this show? That's right, my mother watched this show. This cracked her up because they run upstairs real fast, and then they slide. Well, Rigby runs into the kitchen. Mordecai runs upstairs. Mordecai slides down the stairs in his wrestling outfit, which is like these red trunks. When we say trunks, we pretty much mean like the underwear type deal with a yellow star on it. And he's got like the red armbands. They're not really the armbands like Ultimate Warrior had, but they're like occluding his arms. But they're really, they just look like handkerchiefs or something that have been tied up like a tourniquet almost. And he's got a torn off, like torn at the midriff, like just a white t-shirt. It's just like, looks like he's taken scissors to it or he's just ripped it, one or the other. And now the real funny one is Rigby. So Rigby comes out, and hang on, the names that they call each other, I've got to check this because it's pretty clever. Okay, so a couple things I forgot. Mordecai also has red knee pads on. He comes out and he's like, "Rah!" And then Rigby comes running out and he's got a cape. And he flings it back and he goes, "Ah!" And he's got like black trunks with the white star on it. So, and Mordecai says something like, "Listen up, mysterious Mr. R. Mad Mordecai is going to take you down. And when I say down, I don't mean to the ground. I mean like 6 feet under." So they're just laying out these corny, like B quality, basically like B quality promo lines. That's the only way I know how to explain it. So Rigby gives like this retort of, it's not as good, but he's like, "Madman Mordo, more like Bland Man Bordo. When I get finished with you, people are going to be asking what happened to his face. And I'll tell them, mysterious Mr. R happened to his face." And then, Mordecai, he like rips his shirt and he's like, "Ah," that may have happened already, but they're like, "Okay." And then they kind of run towards each other like they're going to lock up, but it's like super slow-mo and they're going, "Rah, rah," and they're making just like these noises. And Mordecai kind of like slow motion slaps Rigby. And it's not like an actual slow-mo shot. It's like they're playing in slow motion, I guess. So they kind of lock up and Rigby, he gets hit and he goes, "Rah," and he raises his arms up, then he puts them together and he goes, "Rah," and he like double axe handles Mordecai. And Mordecai gets hit and he starts to step back and Rigby goes, I don't know. And they start hitting each other and Mordecai like slaps Rigby I don't know if this is by accident or not, but it knocks Rigby over. Mordecai jumps on him to pin him. Rigby throws him off of him. And there just happens to be a fold-up chair laying there, a metal fold-up chair. And he runs over and grabs it and smacks Mordecai in the back with it. And this is one thing about the episode. It's like they make out the chair shots kind of on this to be like they're all play. Back during the ruthless aggression or something like that, there was a reason that all these guys started getting CTEs. I mean, it's hard to fake getting thrown off of a 30-foot cage through a table. It's just, I'm just guessing. It would be pretty hard to fake that. And then it would be hard to fake climbing back up to the top of that cage and getting slammed through the cage because the cage malfunctioned prematurely. I'm referring to, this is an era before, but the Mick Foley or Mankind Undertaker match, the Hell in a Cell match. And that cage gave way before it was supposed to. They had it zip tied up to where it was supposed to gradually give, and then when it sunk down so low, it was supposed to fall through, but it just gave through after like 1 or 2 slams, and Mick Foley fell through the whole thing. His tooth comes out and goes up his nose, and then that's not to mention when The Rock went slap happy with those chair shots. I mean, if you think the chair shots are fake, you should go back and watch some of the worst chair shots. I mean, yes, it's like, obviously, it's entertainment and it's scripted, but it's, I wouldn't want to make my living getting hit in the head with a chair. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, whatever. I love this take on, because, actually, this may be just the way everything was set up. This does seem to kind of satirize the 80s, maybe early 90s. And if you watch some of the Hulk Hogan chair shots from that era, yeah, they are about as, they're about as real as an elderly person's teeth. I mean, like they're not very convincing. When I say elderly people, I mean people that have falsies. Yeah, that joke kind of fell flat there, but it just had to be very clear because I'm sure not all elderly people have fake teeth. Anyway, Hulk Hogan's, they have some darn fine teeth, okay? But Hulk Hogan's chair shots on some of these, it's, I get it. The first goal is not to hurt your opponent or partner, whatever they're called. But these chair shots just aren't convincing. Like, it's like he's barely tapping them with them. That's kind of what it's like here in this episode. But anyway, he's laying there, and then Mordecai kind of outmaneuvers him, gets him on the ground. Well, Pops walks in, and he sees him, and he's like, oh, and he runs over. And he actually grabs Mordecai and puts him in a legit, like, full Nelson, picks him up and slams him down on his face. And Rigby's like, what are you doing, Pops? What are you doing? So Pops giggles, and he drops Mordecai onto the ground. And he gets up, and he says, I just love wrestling. And Mordecai's like, what are you talking about? You actually hurt me. And he goes, that wasn't wrestling. And Ruth says, yeah, wrestling's totally fake. You weren't doing it right. Which, sorry, I knew something was going to happen. It's that time for the side story, The King of the Hill. I've started rewatching it again. Just kind of, as a guilty or a comfort show, I should say. But the episode where Bobby and Connie wrestle, and Bobby's like, he puts Connie in like a headlock or something. He's like, it's totally impossible to get out of it. Try anything. I mean, it's absolutely impossible to counter. And Connie gets out of it and like slams him or something. I can't remember. She like makes a big fool of him, and he goes, well, that's because you didn't use real wrestling. If you would have used real wrestling, it would have been impossible to counter, And that's kind of what this reminds me of. He's like, that's not real wrestling. Real wrestling's fake. And then Pops goes on, no, I assure you it's real. I wrestled my collegiate days. And this is actually a really good part of the show right here. The episode is one of the better parts. So he pulls out a picture out of his wallet to show him. I guess he kept his old wrestling photo. And it's funny because the photo looks like, it's got like the scalloped edges, like a stamp might look or something. And it's just a picture of him in black and white standing there. And he's in a singlet. And he's got like the protective headgear, the chin strap and the earpieces. And he looks just like so determined. And it's just a goofy looking picture. And they're like, whoa, Pops, that's so cool. And he goes, I'm glad you boys think so, because I thought you might accompany me to this. And he pulls out 3 tickets to the double RW Wrestle Frazzle 7 live. And they say it in sync. They're like, whoa, you got tickets, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of a lot to repeat. But they're like, Pops, you're a legend. You got to show us some of your moves. And he says, okay, I'll go easy on you this time. I'll go easy on you boys this time. So Rigby stands up. They move the coffee table out of the way, and Rigby stands up on the couch. And Pops slams Mordecai again. And Mordecai goes, impressive, Pops, but you forgot about this. And he says, Rigby, tag me. And Rigby tags him. And the frigger jumps off the couch and cheap shots Pop. Lands right on his back. He like does a splash right onto his back. Mordecai gets up and Pop's like, my back, it's ruined or something like that. And then right then, of course, Benson walks in, right on cue. And he knows immediately. He's like, what'd I tell you about wrestling? Or first he asks Pops, and Pops tries to cover for him. He's like, I guess I just slipped or something, and I'm not what I used to be. And he's like, what'd I tell you guys about wrestling? And Rigby's like, oh, come on, Pops, shake it off. You got to take us. And he says, you got to take us to Razzle Frazzle instead of Wrestle Frazzle. But you got to take us to Razzle Frazzle. And they're like, no, Benson's like, no, you're not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Pops, you need bed rest. Long story short, you two watch Pops. Don't go anywhere, because if you do, don't bother coming back. And Mordecai's like, fine. And then Benson goes, does that one get it? Because sometimes I wonder. And he's pointing at Rigby. And Rigby's like, yeah, fine. Don't go to wrestling. Watch Pops. Something like that. And kind of see where this is going to go. Well, you think you can, but there might be a little bit of twisting here depending on what you were expecting. So let's see. So to get us set up into what's about to happen, they give like a Simpsons type joke. So Pops, it cuts to nighttime, and Pops is like, why do we got to go to bed so early? And they're like, this is the easiest way to ensure you don't get hurt. After all, and Rigby says, after all, sleep is the best medicine. Then Mordecai says, I thought laughter was the best medicine. And Rigby says, not when you're telling the jokes. And then Mordecai just goes, whatever. Good night, Pops. And, and then Pops says, sleep be to all. And then we cut to the clock. And it passes like a few hours. It's saying, I think like 8:12, 8:13, something like that. So it's already dark out. It seemed like a few hours passed. I don't know what time of year this is, but, whatever. So Rigby wakes up and he's like, Mordecai, get up. Let's sneak out and go to Wrestle Frassle. And he's like, what about Pops? And he's like, Pops is fine. He needs his rest anyway. You sure he won't hear us? He's like, he's asleep. And he goes, listen, Pops. And, Pops doesn't move. So they get up and they run out of the room. But then the camera like zooms out from that view, pans out, I guess, whatever. And you can see it's not Pops laying there. It looks like his head from the back, but it's like a big pink like bear, like a stuffed bear or something. And it's like laying there. So Pops has already snuck out. So next thing we see is him crawling across the ground to the park. And it's kind of like maybe like a Mission Impossible type music. But he's going into the garage to get the vehicle. It's Carmenita, I believe. But this Carmenita is a little bit different than the ones that we see later that at least I am familiar with, or maybe not familiar with. The one that I envision when somebody mentions that to me, or that when I think of Carmenita. It's a different design from what I recall. Yeah, this design is more of a jalopy, whereas Carmenita that I recall is a little more like a convertible. Anyway, so he starts flying off. Carmenita is a flying car, if I haven't mentioned that in the past. But he starts flying off in Carmenita towards Really Real Wrestling. Mordecai and Rigby show up. A few things I want to mention, kind of get out of the way just from this still frame I have here. One of the people in the crowd is, maybe two of them look a lot like Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. I've mentioned that before in the past with Party Pete, I believe. That same character design is here. There's a few other character designs, nothing like super familiar. There's one that kind of looks like Tom Green sitting in the front row. He's wearing the red version of the Excellent cap without, the writing on the front. But, yeah, kind of interesting always to see what they put in the background if you pay attention. But, so Mordecai and Rigby up at the top, they're like, all right, seats 97, 98, or 98, 99, 100, something like that. But basically, they're in the like very end seats. They're the furthest away from the action. Mordecai goes, so close to the action. And it's this big old guy who kind of looks like King Kong Bundy, if you're familiar with him. And it looks like he's got two guys in a headlock, but it's actually this one guy that has two heads. But anyway, he ends up slamming him, and the ref comes and gives like the quickest 3 count you've ever heard. So the big guy wins. And so Mordecai's like, wow, it's totally worth, or Rigby says, totally worth it. Mordecai says, yeah, but it's pretty lame. Pops couldn't be here, though. And Rigby says, relax, we did the right thing. Pops is totally safe in his bed. And then the camera cuts to Pops, like landing the car flying to the arena. And he says, and that song is just, it's kind of like it kind of sounds like a mixture between Rocky music and Mission Impossible. But he comes flying in, and then it cuts back to the stadium. These two guards, they're like, so where's that new guy at? The ladder match is about to begin. What's his name? Hugehead? Where's he at? And they're like, I don't know. Well, then Hugehead pulls up in like this car, and the car says Hugehead on it, and he gets out. And he's just this guy with a big head, and he's got like a buzz cut. And he starts like walking with a suitcase towards the arena, looking at his watch because he's like, I'm kind of late. Well, Pops comes flying in, and he just runs him over. Hugehead's just like, and he gets ran over. Pops, I guess he doesn't even see him. He gets out of the car, like his back's so hurt, he can't stand up. So he's like holding himself onto the door. And they're like, is that him? And he goes, yeah, of course that's him. So they like usher him into the door, like, you're late, blah, blah, blah. Then we cut back to the announcer, and he's like, okay, folks, it's time for the main event, the ladder match. And it shows the ladder, and I swear, I think the freaking thing's a wooden ladder. I don't even think it's like metal, like they use. I mean, I can't imagine having to like them guys having to get slammed into a wooden ladder that'd break your back. Anyway, he's like, all right, so who will be the winner? Will it be the fire marshal? And it's just this guy in like firefighter trunks, and he spits fire. Hissy Fit, who's like a an alligator, basically, or a snake, a reptile, or the reigning champion for Armageddon. And it's this blonde-headed guy with 4 arms. And I just noticed that his feet are actually like hands, and he's up on like his fingertips on his feet. So it's really weird. Or will it be the newcomer? Huge head, and they carry out pops from the back, and these 2 guards are carrying him on their shoulders, and these 2 pyrotechnics just blow up, as he walks out, and it's playing like this rock music, and Mordecai and Rigby are seeing it. They're like, dude, check out that guy. His head's almost as huge as Pops. His head looks, his head is as huge as Pops. And then Mordecai's like, dude, that is Pops. And they're like, what? How'd he get down here? And they run down there and they're like, Pops. And they says, Mordecai, Rigby, looks like we all had the same idea, or we all couldn't stay away, something like that. They're like, we got to get you out of here. And he says, no, I just got here. And I was late and they upgraded my seat. And he says, no, they think you're a wrestler. And he says, I am a wrestler. And besides, you said all this was fake. And then For Armageddon comes over there and he says, fake? Who said it's fake? And he jumps down there and he walks up, and I think Pops may point at Mordecai or something. He goes, is this fake? And he slaps Mordecai, and Mordecai goes flying and hits the guardrail. And I think this is perhaps a reference to a guy, a wrestler, I think his name, David Schultz. Yeah. There was a Dark Side of the Ring on this or something. I can't remember, but he, back in the day, this was probably the late 80s. I can't remember the reporter. I don't remember if it was his name, Geraldo Riviera, or if it was somebody else. But the guy was like, well, wrestling's fake after all, isn't it? He was giving an interview, like a news interview. And this Schultz guy gets mad and he goes off and he's like, fake? Does this look fake to you? And he busts the guy in the eardrum. He just hauls off and smacks him. And I think he ended up hitting him like 2 or 3 times. And the guy's like, no, this is, let's see. Yeah. The wrestler in the video is David Schultz. I just Googled it here. It says the wrestler in video's name is David Schultz, properly known as Dr. D in WWE, then WWF. The D in the name stands for death, and rightfully so. It says Schultz absolutely flipped when accused of being in a fake business, blah, blah, blah. It's 84, I guess, is when he slaps him. Some of these things say 88, but most things say 84. But what it is a thing called kayfabe was really big back then, where nowadays they kind of play into that, like everybody's kind of in on it. But there was a time before the Iron Sheik got caught with Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a taxi cab with drugs, because they were mortal enemies, in kayfabe. There was a time when a thing called kayfabe, like appearances were kept up, and there were still like people in the world, they referred to them as marks, that thought wrestling was, real. And it increased business for them to think it was real because they thought the rivalries were real. And there were different, obviously from what you hear, there were rivalries, but they were actually more like political rivalries, not, hey, I'm going to beat you up because you got my title, whatever. More like people were mad at Hulk Hogan because he used political persuasion to convince booking to have him win every match to make him more popular, whatever. But this guy, I guess, in order to preserve kayfabe, just beat the crap out of this reporter. He didn't like nearly kill him or anything, but like I think he, if I recall correctly, and I could be wrong, but like I think he like damaged his eardrum from slapping him so hard, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous. But John Stossel, that's the guy's name. Yeah, he called wrestling fake, says it's fake business, and he got slapped upside the head. So then there was one time, I think one of it may have been Hogan, like choked a guy out by accident on on one of these late night shows. I don't know. It's just like this. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like whatever. Anyway, I think that's what this is a reference to, the David Schultz guy for Armageddon here. But yeah, so you can see where this is going to go. Pops is going to have to get in the ring here. So for Armageddon, I forgot to mention, he gives it to Rigby too. He drop kicks him into the guardrail. But then he's like, why do you think this is fake? Why do you think it says really real wrestling? Because it's real. And he says, there's only one way to get out. Mordecai says, okay, we're sorry. Let us leave. Let's take our friend and leave. He says, no, there's only one way, two ways to get out of here. In a body bag or if you beat us all in the ring. So then he gets the microphone. He's like, listen up. These losers think it's fake, blah, 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 blah. And he cuts this lackluster promo. They get in the ring. Or they get back in the ring and says, are you guys going to get in the ring? Or if you don't, we're going to come out there after you. So Mordecai and Rigby says, all right, Pops, Mordecai says, you stay here. We're going to go try to get the belt. Pop says, but I can help. And he says, no, just stay here. So they jump in the ring. Mordecai says, all right, I'm going to distract him. You go for the belt. So Mordecai immediately runs at him and he gets the crap beaten out of him. And Rigby's about as useful as like a cap gun in a showdown at the OK Corral or something. He literally runs right to the hissy fit guy. Like he runs right into him. I mean, it's whatever. But they're getting the tire beaten out of him. So Pop crawls in the ring, tries to help him. And he just tries to crawl over to the ladder and crawl up it and get the belt. Well, while Four Armageddon's beating the crap out of Mordecai, he sees this and he runs over there and he knocks the ladder over and Pops lands on his back and it cracks. And he stands up and then he pops it again. And it's implied that fixes his back. And he gets up and he says, who wants to wrestle? And then he goes and he basically cleans house. He beats the tar out of them all. He slams Four Armageddon. He does a German suplex on Hissy Fit. And then the clever thing is he does a fireman's carry to the fire marshal. And before that, though, Rigby, I guess he gets another bout of courage and he throws his cape back like he does at the beginning of the episode. Fire marshal almost incinerates him with his fire breath, but Pop saves him. And then he does the fireman's carry to the fire marshal. And basically he beats them all up. Mordecai and Rigby kind of help a little bit. Like after Pops has got Four Armageddon in this lock, they grab his arms and slam him. And Rigby says, real enough for you. They set up the ladder. Pops climbs up it and he wins as Huge Head, gets the belt. So, yay, everybody's a winner. Unless you're the other guys. But, whatever. They win and they head back to the house. So one of the cool details about this is as they're flying Carmenita into the house, there is a police tape hanging off the back of it, which, it's like his car is technically a crime scene. Yeah, I liked that little detail there. But they get up to the door and Benson opens it up and he's like, I knew it. I knew you would sneak out. He said, I had a sick feeling, so I came to check up on you and you were gone. I knew it. You're fired. And they're like, well, hang on, Pops, you got to back us up. And he says, I cannot tell a lie, Benson. It was me who snuck out. It was all my fault. It's not exactly what he said, but, he takes all the blame for it. And he's like, Mordecai and Rigby just had to come get me. And Mordecai's like, yeah, that's all true, technically, sort of, kind of. So, and then Rigby says, yeah, let's check it out. His back's better anyways. And Pop says, it's true. And he's got that belt, the championship belt around his waist. And Benson's like, all right, well, this is your last warning. He shuts the door. They're like, oh, thanks, Pops, blah, 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 blah. Well, let's get you to bed, Huge Head. And then we see in the bushes spying on him is the character Huge Head. And he's like, well, you think you can steal my name, huh? Well, let's see what happens when I steal your name, Pops. And then he puts on the top hat and it zooms on his face and he laughs. And that's the last of that. We see that character for about 6 or 7 seasons. So, no, at least 5. Yeah, 5. I think we don't see him till like the end of season 7. So I think they meant to do something else with this character, but maybe scrapped it. Maybe actually we see him in season 4, the exit 4B, 7B, whatever it's called, the originally intended final episode. But really we don't see like what the whole deal with that character is. It's not resolved until like season 7, and really the episode isn't really even like about that character from what I recall. He's just like a convenient plot device. I guess he's still lurking around the park this whole time for 5 seasons. I don't know, but you don't get your hopes up with this character. But other than that, I got to say, I had a good time watching this episode, especially like right after Grave Sites. I think that was like a 1-2 combo right there, just watching those back to back, because Grave Sites gave you that real autumn type vibe, and it's kind of like a serious artistic effort, and it really shows in that episode. And I think this one was just more of a satirical, happy-go-lucky, throw it out there and just make it as clever and as kind guess just satirical. That's the only word I can think of as you can get. And I think they really succeeded on this episode. So depending on what mood you're in, I mean, both of these episodes, Gravesites and Really Real Wrestling, are great. But just depending on the mood, that, at least speaking for me, the mood that I'm in, I could see myself preferring one over the other, just depending on maybe the time of year or how I'm feeling. And, I have to give this episode at least a 7.5 out of 10. I would probably lean towards an 8 or an 8.5. The only things that would drag it down, there's no Skips, no Muscle Man, there's really hardly any side characters. And I think that's maybe why it's so good, is because it pulls off such an enjoyable episode without the use of side characters. So maybe I'm actually giving it higher points for that. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe it's kind of like saying a certain basketball player can still beat you with his left hand tied behind his back. It's like, of course he's going to be better if he has his left hand. But it's kind of like with this episode. It's so good in spite of the fact that it's not using a lot of its strengths. So, I got to give it props for that. And don't really know what else to say about it other than that. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but like the difference between a level 10 or a level 9.5 and a level 8.5 is quite a bit. I mean, but this is definitely keeping that chain of great episodes running. And I would say this is in the better 3/4 of the episodes that we've watched so far. There's nothing really in particular that like stands out about it. It's just a really well done episode. I mean, it's got like those, it's got those quirks to it where like there's flaws in it, but it's like it kind of gives it character. I don't really know how to explain that all that well. I mean, like last episode, it didn't seem like there was many flaws. Like everything was very attention oriented, and this one, it seems like there's a little bit more flaws, but they just fit well. Kind of like, background noise in a song. Sometimes it just fits well in time and people leave it in, like a dog barking or something. But yeah, let's go to the pop culture references trivia. Here's a pretty obvious one. For Armageddon resembles Goro from Mortal Kombat franchise, and his last name for a four-arm character could be a nod to Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I didn't think about that. But I mean, the Goro thing, it's like, yeah, of course, Goro didn't have blonde hair, but yes, there's the four arms, I should say. Goofs, Mordecai and Rigby are able to walk and don't have any injuries, despite being beaten to close death, and Hissy Fit gave Rigby the backbreaker. When Mordecai and Rigby are pretending to wrestle, Mordecai rips his shirt. In the next shot, his shirt is not ripped. Okay, I didn't think about that. Alternate versions, the word moron is changed to dummy in the UK, so just censorship, And then production notes, this episode received 2.164 million viewers worldwide. So that's pretty good numbers, I think. And I think that's a good reflection of what the last week did. Maybe I'm not taking into consideration the advertisements that they do for these episodes each week. But yeah, overall, I would say that this one definitely beats the storytelling Adventure Time episode, which is not a bad episode by any means. It just doesn't get it done for me for that series. So let's see. This next week, or the next episode you're going to hear, Over the Top. That's the one I'm just getting ready to record. So yeah, whatever. I'm not going to drag this on too long. I appreciate you listening. And I would very much appreciate any voice messages or feedback on the episode. I'm going to try to start. I've probably been forgetting in the past few weeks, but I'm going to try to start putting the Discord link back up. Nobody's joined it as of this point. It's just me in there. So maybe Rob joined it. I don't know. But mainly I just post my shows on the Turtles Forever Discord and a few of the regular show Facebook pages. But, whatever. I think we still got the same amount of people, about 20. I'm not complaining. I appreciate that. I would like to grow it, but, whatever. It is what it is. But any reviews, any shares, anything like that would be very much appreciated. And that's probably the only way this show's going to grow. It would be cool to be like a fairly grown show by the end of season 2. But, probably won't happen, but a person can dream, right? Anyway, if you would like to get in contact with me, the old email is, at least the one that that bald guy that works with the other dudes got set up, is texmexandcandy@gmail.com. TEXMEXANDCANDY @gmail.com. texmexandcandy@gmail.com. Yeah, I know that's the dumbest email ever, but I didn't make it, so. Until next time, I appreciate you listening. Hope everything goes well, and insert closing line here.